I said, because I got a lot of work still to do. I can't be leaving here too early, you know. She smiled and she said, well, maybe you do, son, you know. And I accepted Islam to become a Muslim in 1969. And I was on a radio program once, and they asked me, what was I before I became Muslim? I said, well, I was a Christian, I was in the church. They said, you were in the church? I said, yeah. I used to sing, you know, in the choir and different things like that, you know. He said, well, why did you leave Christianity to come to Islam? I said, because Christianity was not strong enough to discipline my errant behavior in a ghetto environment. You know, I began to participate in everything. And I know when I was young, I saw the oppression and depression. And this is another thing I want to mention to you all. Most of us, and I know like me, was born out of oppression and depression. I was born out of oppression, you know, black oppression. You know, you can call it African American, but we were niggas, coons, boons, we was treated bad, you know. And I remember some of my friends when I was real young, in my 10, 11 years old, you know how people used to take money out their mother's pocketbook and quarters and things like that. And they would, when I was in my early teens, they would want to break into people's utility rooms and different like that. I told them, I said, man, why y'all want to always take stuff from black people? I said, let's go to the white neighborhood. They got everything. Let's go downtown and steal from them. You know, I like stealing too. You know, I said, but I didn't like stealing from black people because they ain't had nothing. I don't know why I had that feeling, but that was my thing. You know, so I said, let's take from the white folks. They got all the stuff. Let's take their stuff. You know. Go into the store, look at all the stuff they got in the store. We ain't got that. So that was my mindset. I didn't know why I was like that. And as I continue the story, you will see some of the things that came later on. But my father was born in Arkansas. My mother was born in Mississippi. And I found my mother wrote a book in her 80s, My Story. You can get it on Amazon.com. Ida Hankins. And she told me about the story that my grandfather, her father, they owned land in Mississippi and etc. And my grandfather grew up with the person who owned this meal factory and etc. And they used to play together and etc. So when he grew up and started working in the field, he told my grandfather, "Give me a cup of water." This is his friend that grew up with. He said, "Get me a cup of water right quick." He said, "Man, get your own water." He said, "Nigga, didn't I tell you to get me a cup of water?" He said, "Who you think you talking to?" "I'm talking to you, nigga. Get me a cup of water." He said, "You get your own water." Now, these are friends that grew up together. He said, "That's all right. You will see later on you should have got me that water." So, you know, I don't know the whole story. But my grandfather knew then, the way he looked at him and responded to him, he knew he was in trouble. He went home and said, "Mama, pack the stuff, we getting out of here." "What?" "Get the stuff, we getting out of here tonight. We leaving here." Well, they got on a train and headed to the west side of Chicago. Because that's where most people from Mississippi went anyway. They got out of there. And the good they did, because they were planning on lynching him. You see. They lost all the property, everything. And there are many stories. I'm not the only one that has that story. Many of us have these stories. Now my father, on the other hand, he was from Arkansas. And him and his wife had marital problems. They were not together. So my grandmother my father's mother owned some brothel houses in Arkansas. But the preacher used to come over all the time, eat off all the food, and the children had to wait till they ate, then they could get what's left over. And my father's father told his wife that, look, let my children eat for the nigga come in here and eat all the damn food. You know, that's how he was, my grandfather. So anyway, she passed. So she left all the property and businesses to the church. So they take care of her 4 children. My father was the oldest. He was about 12 or 13. Well, the church did nothing. Took all the money and left them orphans. So they got up out of there. They had to leave there. My mother told me, she said, your father never went to church. The only time I know him to come to church when he came to get me. After he got me, that was it. You know. And this is a story because, when I was younger, I never knew why I had that kind of adversity toward the church. Even though I was going there, I didn't like it. And we were, me and a couple other boys were playing around the rostrum, and they had the grape juice and the crackers in there. And we back there eating the grape juice and crackers and stuff, like little kids out. And he came, Reverend Johnson came and grabbed me by my ear and pulled me up like the, how they used to box your ears in, pulled me up, and I knocked his hand away and cussed him out. I just knew I was in trouble. My mother said, I'm going to tell your father on you. You know my father didn't do nothing to me. I never knew why, but he never liked the church. Now, I'm saying these stories to you because this is my narrative of something, because I'm leading up to something too. My father moved to Chicago. He became a master mechanic, body and fender man. And the other family members, the other 3 children, moved up into the Detroit area. We didn't know nothing. When we were growing up, we knew not my father's side of the family, only my mother's side of the family, my cousins and me. I never knew the other side. Something happened. I never found out to this day what divided them. But one day, I was in Detroit. My sister had made some contact. We got connected with the other family. And this is family breakup and etc. All this stuff that we go to today. My sister, one of the brothers passed of my father, and they contacted him. So that's how we finally got in contact with him. I still didn't know him. And but later on, when I did go up to Detroit, after we found out the family, I met my Uncle David, my father's brother. His name was Dawood Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. He came into Islam. I came into Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's mission. He came into Islam under another mission, what we call Sunni. So I gave him some of my tapes and things, and he listened to them. I came back by there the next day. And now, I used to go up to Detroit all the time because I used to go up there to train the Fruit of Islam, at Temple Number 1. I used to go up there all the time, but never knew I had relatives up there. So I'm sitting on the porch talking to my Uncle David, Uncle Dawood, and he tells me, he said, I listened to those tapes that you had, they gave me, and he said, right away it brought memory to me of my great-grandfather, on that side. He said he used to always talk about that Arabic, and he used to be a scout. That's what he told me. He said he used to be a scout for General Grant. And they used to sit in a circle and write the Arabic in the ground. I said, you gotta be kidding. He said, no. They used to write the Arabic, and the officer would come back and tell them, boy, stop writing that chicken scratch down there. They called it chicken scratch. You might have heard that saying. That's what it was. It was the Arabic. So I said, you gotta be kidding. I said, I always knew something was in me that made me a rebel. You know, because I was like the so-called black sheep of the family. Right. And I said, I knew something was. I knew Islam was connected with me some kind of way. That's what attracted me to Elijah. I didn't know. So that put into me. And we also had connection with, and he told me about Marcus Garvey. We had connection with the Marcus Garvey side of the family. So I'm looking, look how our history has been erased. We don't know nothing. You know? So this is why this is so beautiful. This is a magnificent structure. And I mean, look, I lost my witness. I'm going to promote this. You know, you know, we need to have $500,000 to $1 million to make this establishment beautiful. More beautiful than it is. This is history. But here's my point. I learned about my Islamic roots like that. That's what I'm sharing my narrative with you. I know you got them too. Cause hell, most of us was slaves on the west coast of Africa, brought over here in the hulls of ship. We just got separated, you know. And I know one time Imam Muhammad said, he said, we're the only people that call each other brother. All these we're brothers, so you be in New York, California, hey brother, what's up? Because we are brothers some kind of way. We don't know when we were separated from these plantations and where we were sold, this, that, and other. We don't know. No people have been done like us where you mate the son with the mother and the father with the daughter and etc. You know, they don't do horses like that and dogs like that because it destroys the bloodline. But they did us like that, trying to destroy us as a people. And as Henry Clay said in Virginia, he said, I think it was in 1800, as long as we can keep the light of Islam out of the mind of the slave, we can forever keep him on the level of the beast of the field. You were never intended to do Jummah again. You were never intended to say Allahu Akbar. You were supposed to be less than a cow, less than a dog. But look what Allah has done for us. You know, that's why I told him Friday. I stood up, I told him, I said, you looking at a miracle. Because I'm supposed to be less than the beast of the field. But I'm teaching you from your book, and I wasn't really talking to you all. I was talking to some other people that was there. You know, that know the Arabic and all this stuff and doing nothing with it. Okay, here's my point. At 17 years old, you know, in fact, they used to tell me when I was growing up that you gonna be dead before you 21. Right. Some of you may have heard that too. Right. Because of the neighborhoods we grew up in, especially in Chicago. Right. You know, you're on your way to the store to get a loaf of bread. By the time you get back, the bread all balled up because you had to fight to get there and fight to get back. Right. Just that type of life. But so I became in the gangs. I became a jungle person that survived in the jungle. That's how I put it. And if you didn't have jungle skills, you wouldn't make it. Most of my friends that I grew up with are dead. Dead. Either they got killed on the streets, or in prison, or in Vietnam. You know. In fact, I met a friend of mine who was in Dallas about 3 months ago. I was doing a workshop in Dallas. And after the meeting, the brother was sitting there, and I was talking to him. I said, where are you from? He said, I'm from Harvey, Illinois. I said, I used to stay in Harvey, Illinois, you know. He said, I know. I said, how you know? He said, I was in your gang. I looked at him like that. I said, what's your name? He said, Bill. I said, Dandy Bill? We used to be real fat because he's real thin. Now he's big Dandy Bill. You know, we used to tell him before we do something, say, Bill, shake it for us one time. He would say, that was what we call it, Big Dandy Bill. So we got to talking. He said, man, let me tell you something. When you got out of prison, and I said, I went to prison when I was 17. I skipped over something. I went to prison when I was 17. That's why I heard Islam. And you got out, and you was talking to about Elijah, Muhammad, and his family. He said, "Oh man," I said, "Man, I'm into drugs and different things. I'm doing. Man, I don't need to hear that stuff." He said, "Oh, I really didn't want to hear you." He said, "But I had to get out of town because some things had happened, and then went out to California. He said, but I remember what you had told us about what Elijah Muhammad taught. And it had changed you. He said, I stood up one day and said, I got to make a change. You know, I need to do what Larry did. And that was my name at that time. You know, really, my nickname was Rat Man. You know, because of, you know, during the 60s, there's a movie out, you might have seen it, King Rat. Yeah, well, I was king.
Oh, yeah.
of the little gang. So that, you know, there was an army movie, so they used to call me Rat Man. So anyway, and I don't go telling nobody, you might get shot. Well, I had a history on me. But anyway, and I can tell you stories, but I'm working my way up towards something. So I end up going to, and you know why I went to prison? Because I thought I was a gangster and you don't tell on nobody. And they told me if I tell on all these people, you know, such and such, you can get me free. I ain't telling nobody no more. You know, when they gave me them 2 2 to 5s running concurrently,